The funny thing about opera is that either you really love it or you can't stand it. Some people say it's neither theatre nor is it music, and that one interferes with the other. And then, of course, they grumble about the fat heroines. Well, I don't agree. I think good opera is both theatre and music. And I think it's absolutely marvelous. And I don't mind the fat heroines a bit. I think they're half the fun. And why shouldn't they be fat anyway? I look forward to my Mimi and La Boheme lying in bed, a wecking great whale of a woman, and another big jelly of a Rudolfo bending over the solitary leg of mutton which is offered to him singing "Your Tiny Hand is Frozen." I love it. I like my Salome, who never gets through her dance of the seven veils properly without getting all tangled up and puffing away like a prize fighter. That's good. Now, my youthful ambition was to become a great opera singer. I sang aria after aria lustily and accompanied myself on all my instruments. Wherever I went, I sang in the fields and the meadows, in the streets and in the bath, until one day, at the height of my operatic career, I was about 13 at the time, I wanted to become a jazz band leader. I played the saxophone and the drums in amateur jazz bands. I went to these jam sessions. I listened to everything in that field, from the rawest New Orleans jazz to the latest, highly sophisticated jazz bands. Suddenly I had enough. I had overplayed and overlistened, and I was ready for something new. One day, purely by chance, I heard the slow movement of the Debussy string quartet on the radio. From that day on, I came to loathe and dread jazz and all its brothers and sisters as much as I'd loved them once. Nowadays, I take a more philosophical view. I think jazz certainly has its place in music and has a great influence in modern music particularly. But you know, on the whole, I tend to think that it cannot really give me anything that serious music can't give me. And I think we leave it at that for the moment. I was about 17 years old when I attended my first symphony concert. And I got so excited towards the end that an irresistible force made me get up from my seat and fling my arms about like a maniac. This caused a disturbance in the audience, but no one actually dared to come near me, and I was able to conduct the piece right through to the very end. By the end of the concert, I had quite made up my mind to give up my own profession, which I was about to enter at the time, and to become a conductor. But somehow this never came off, and I have remained an amateur musician, alas, ever since. My own work also made it pretty impossible for me to practice music seriously, and I became content to be a mere listener. Now, I'm quite convinced that listening to music is in itself an art. Like all other arts, music makes certain demands. The composer expects the listener to concentrate. Concentrate hard. Don't overdo it, mind you, or you drive yourself silly. You mustn't be discouraged if things don't click right away. They will, in good time. My click came soon enough. I listened to anything and everything. Chamber music, orchestral music, violin and piano, sonatas, oratorios, opera, organ recitals, choirs, concertos and brass octets. I reached the point where I found it no longer possible to merely listen to music without taking some active part in it. I wanted very badly to play in an orchestra, but which instrument was I to play? The violin was out of the question. I hadn't played it for years, and it would have meant starting practically from scratch. Also, my music reading was poor. The horn, perhaps, then, or the drums? No, that didn't seem to be the answer. And then one day, a most extraordinary and wonderful opportunity arose, which brought about a great change in my whole environment and artistic development. My wife and I were walking, and as we passed a second-hand music shop, there in the window stood the one thing which I had wanted to own and play ever since I could remember. There it stood, fat, solid, charming in every way, a tuba. Now, the next thing I knew was that I'd bought him, and my wife and I were carrying him across Piccadilly Circus in the pouring rain. At home, we gave him a bath and a nice rub. For the next 3 days, I produced a series of noises so dreadful and so sordid that a rumor went about in the neighborhood that we were keeping a live elephant in the bath. But on the fourth day, I was able to make some quite nice noises, and before a fortnight had elapsed, I actually managed to produce quite a representable chromatic scale from middle C downwards, reaching right down to bottom C. Whenever I'm stuck at my drawing board, there sits the tuba in the corner of my studio, glowing all over. Go on, cocky, he says, have a blow. And soon ideas begin to flow, and the muse which has deserted me takes a sharp turn to the right and makes a prodigal comeback. Occasionally we have a contrabassoon to tea. We exchange notes, memoirs, and grunts, and after tea we make merry. Here we are, my friend Teddy Smith, who plays the contrabassoon, and G. Hoffnung, who plays the tuba, performing Frère Jacques. The contrabassoon starts. I'm very happy to say that that recently another of my life's ambition was fulfilled. So sorry. And I would very much like to take this opportunity of paying a special tribute to Mr. Ernest Reed and his London Junior Orchestra for tolerating me in their brass section. There I blow every Friday night to my heart's content. I get a bit fed up sometimes, you know, just sitting there counting my bars of chocolate while everybody else is playing away, but thank goodness that doesn't happen very often. And in some of the modern works, of course, the tuba is just longing for a bit of a rest. In fact, sometimes it's so exhausting that I'm at the moment working on a system of bellows worked for the right foot, which would assist greatly in times of emergency with the tubas playing continuously. Now I am happy. I am happy in spite of the fact that the timpanis are immediately behind me and give me dreadful starts at times. I'm happy in spite of the fact that I sit in a 2-inch lake of spittle created by not only me but the entire trombone section. Ah, yes, I really am very happy. I am no longer a frustrated musician.